How many Grinch movies are there? At this point, a few. So let's battle these films, from the old to the most recent. I'm not rhyming. Less is more is going to ring out during this feud, with the cast being no exception. The original 1966 animated classic is basically a one-man army. Boris Karloff narrates the TV movie and voices the Grinch. His deep, mischievous voice blends perfectly with the Green Menace, while the narration is often ripped directly from the Dr. Seuss book it mirrors. June Foray voices the sweet little Cindy Lou Who, but this is a Karloff vehicle. And I believe it's easily the best interpretation of the character to date. Over the years, the Ron Howard-directed Grinch has got itself a little bit of a fan base. I tell myself it's because newer generations grew up with it, and maybe haven't even seen the animated version or read the book. I mean, that's what I have to convince myself is going on. Otherwise, why would you possibly like that more? As far as Jim Carrey is concerned, you either love the guy or you hate him. But he gives 100% in his roles. I don't think anybody can argue that. I happen to be a huge fan of his work, and his performance as the Grinch is easily the highlight of the picture. That said, he doesn't come off the same as he did in the animated film or the book. He's more wacky and less sinister. Probably doesn't help that the Who's of Whoville come off as complete trash individuals. So by comparison, the Grinch doesn't look all that bad. Jeffrey Tambor plays the mayor of this town that's contained inside of a snowflake, however that works. He's a corrupt politician who only cares about re-election. This is a kids movie after all. They love politics. His lover, Martha May Whovier, is the rich, snobby neighbor to Cindy Lou Who and her family. Cindy's played by Taylor Momsen, who would later go on to be the successful lead singer of the Pretty Reckless, which is a pretty solid rock band. And here she is adorable in the role, and the only likable character in Howard's flick. I guess Anthony Hopkins is charming too as the narrator. He's always charming though, even when he's wearing someone else's skin as a face mask. Hollywood wasn't going to let this property end here. They gotta make that cash money. That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's always been about. As the expression goes, out with the old and in with the who, Illumination tries its hand at the property and they cast Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch. I'm a big fan of the Cumber, not so much on his Grinch. I wanted to hear a bit more Smaug or Khan in his voice, as it came across a bit too high and soft for my liking. Pharrell Williams narrates this time around, because Illumination, I guess, I don't know. Rashida Jones, Kenan Thompson, and even Mrs. Potts herself lend voices to the picture. The Greatest Showman's Cameron Seeley voices Cindy Lou Who, once again getting an expanded role. The Grinch's trusty Max can be seen in all three versions of the film. I love dogs, I don't have a preference here. They're all solid. 2018 has an overweight reindeer named Fred as well. And I like Fred. He has a can-do spirit, which I respect. Let's move on. We should all be aware that these movies only exist because Dr. Seuss is a grand wizard, and he crafted some of the most amazing children's books of all time. If you are a purist, the Chuck Jones original is the easy winner, mimicking the art style and the story, page for page. It's also nothing complicated at play. It's the story of an ugly hermit who looks down upon the Who's of Whoville from his ivory tower, aka a snow-capped mountain cave. I got there. He hates their joy, he hates their songs and games. Yeah, he's a mean one. It could be because he has a heart that's 3 times too small. It's a rare condition, but a dangerous one. So he sets out with his only friend Max to steal all their presents and hopefully break their spirits. This leads to the realization that the Who's didn't need fancy ribbons and sparkly gifts to be happy. Congratulations, Grinch. You just played yourself. He comes to his senses and returns the gifts. The Who's welcome him with open arms and even let him carve the roast beast. It's a solid Christmas all around. Let's let Ron Howard whisk us forward to the year 2000 now, to an entirely different Whoville. One full of greedy Who folk that are more akin to the Black Friday shoppers we see, and less like the caring, sharing Who's we once thought we knew. Since this is a big budget Hollywood film, we have a lot of ground to cover, we have a lot of time to fill. So we get more backstory. Turns out the Grinch was accidentally storked to the wrong address, and he was raised as an orphan baby. He was bullied through school by the very same people he still despises as an adult. Writers Jeffrey Price and Peter Seaman thought it was important that a overlooked aspect was addressed: the love story. A Grinch's three-way, if you will, between Mayor Augustus, Martha May, and the Mean Green himself. Definitely necessary and not awkward at all. It's a sarcasm. Ron Howard's version is essentially the opposite of the original. It's the Who's that learn a valuable lesson about consumerism and the evils of valuing objects over each other. 2018 is kind of a hodgepodge between the two. It follows the original story while adding some of the flashback concepts from 2000. The Who's are lovable again? Grinch is a bit misunderstood. It's never established why he is part of the community from a young age, or why he's the only one who looks the way he does. You honestly could have replaced the Grinch with Gru from Despicable Me, and the character would essentially be the same. He's extremely smart, very mischievous, yet has a kind heart deep down. This Grinch goes full-blown Tony Stark later on during the Christmas raid, using an energized candy cane staff that shoots nets. He has spring shoes that allow him to go from house to house in a single step. His sleigh is also top of the line, and I'm a little bit confused why we had a subplot where he needed to find a reindeer when he clearly could just build one. I mean, I guess we had to fill an hour and a half somehow.
You're a mean one.
A dozen animators and background artists were able to bring the Grinch alive in a 26-minute short for TV. The format, the style, and the production as a whole may be a bit dated, but the fantastic expressions and great soundtrack make it timeless. The song You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, performed by Thurl Ravenscroft, will never get old. Jim Carrey performs it in the 2000 flick with interesting results. Much like his character, the song wildly shifts between different voices and sound effects. Tyler, the creator, puts his own spin on the jam for the 2018 version. The words are the same, but the song has a more updated style and flow to it. And for me, it's quite enjoyable. There are plenty of people that like the look of Ron Howard's Whoville and its occupants. Costume designs, the neighborhood, the snow-covered mountains, all look terrific. My issue with it is more how it's shot. I hate the obnoxious camera, constantly tilting and moving around. There's kind of a washed-out haze to everything, which I guess is Ron Howard's style, because that's how Solo looked as well. It feels a bit like a Tim Burton knockoff, done poorly. I think with better direction, I would have appreciated it a bit more. They did nail the look of Jim Carrey's Grinch suit, I'll give him that. I don't have much to say about Illumination's visuals. They're all very pretty, much like their other properties. I sometimes look at the scope of it all and wonder how it's even possible to animate. It would be nice if the studio at least attempted to differentiate their art style a bit more. Their approach with humor is also very one-dimensional, typically relying on slapstick gags and pop culture references. Let's put a bow on this. It's tough to top a classic, especially one that perfectly recaptures the themes and the look of its source material. The Grinch is an easy watch with a great holiday message of inclusion, and it's one that I fire up each and every Christmas. Thanks for watching, and remember, this is more than just reviews, this is Movie Feuds.